It was his idea to have 50 hanging upside down even?
I don't know the exact details, but it was his idea to have 50. So
wow.
yeah, it was my idea to have him be the Super Bowl.
Wait, it was your idea to have Dre play the Super Bowl?
Yeah.
What? You had 2 days to look over everything.
Yeah.
Did you find problems? I assume in that 2 days or what?
You know, you can only find so many problems. I mean, like I said, Jimmy was trying to keep all the balls in the air, and
yeah,
it was much better that they separated than.
Yeah. That's a really precarious time to be entering the picture, actually, for you.
Yeah,
I didn't realize that.
Yeah, no, it was a little bit hairy.
Okay. So, did you need extra security because Suge was on the other side of the town?
Well, there was, at the Interscope offices in those days, there was security all over the place.
I was there. I started out as an intern at Interscope.
Yeah, there was all the security was there.
Yep. I remember. I'll never forget. You know, there was a whole system like to when Jimmy was leaving and entering the building, they would like hold the elevator for like X amount of time, and it was a whole thing. And I remember I was there. They literally froze the building. They're like, nobody's going down, nobody's coming up because Suge Knight entered the lobby one day, and they just kind of froze everything.
I got along okay with Suge, actually. It's hard to believe, but he came over to see me at Disney because.
Let's hear. Is there a Suge Knight story? Let's hear a Suge Knight
story. Well, there's two stories. One involves Eazy-E and one involves Suge. So Suge came over because we're trying to. There was an artist, I think RBX, that we were fighting about.
Yeah, I remember that artist.
He was on the Chronic, and Suge shows up, and I get a call from the security guard. And he says, they're making me, pat him down. He goes, I went to high school with him.
The guy patting down Suge?
The other funny story was Eazy-E came to see me one day, and he got there early, if you can believe that. He showed up early, and I said,
Shocking.
There's a Disney store on the lot there. I said, Eric, why don't you get some stuff for your kids? He's got half a dozen kids. And he goes, all right, man. I said, I'm in a meeting. I'll call you as soon as I'm done. Like 10 minutes later, I get a call from the lady at the Disney store going, Mr. Paterno, this is Mildred at the Disney store. There's a gentleman here who says he needs to talk to you. I go, what's that? He says, here he is. Yo, Pete, it's Eric. You going to come down and pay for this shit, or should I just steal it?
Oh, my God. That's one of the best stories I think we've had on here, Peter. That's really good.
That's pretty funny.
So the ink dries on the Aftermath deal. Chronic 2001 comes out, and it just explodes. And then are you overseeing the deals that, Dre is doing on Aftermath, I assume? Like, did you oversee, like, the Eminem deal?
Yeah.
You did? Okay.
Did all those, yeah.
All right. So you've gotten to meet Eminem a couple of times?
Okay, here's the
Do you have a good
story.
Eminem? I'm from Detroit, so we'll take an Eminem story.
All right,
Peter,
so Dre calls me up and he goes,
Yeah.
I found this kid, you got to get it done. It's Tuesday. I said, it's got to be signed by Friday. We got to get this kid done. Dre's got the great ear, and he knew Eminem was the good, so he wanted it done before anybody else could get involved. And, the other problem, too, is whenever Dre would be interested in people, other people would sign him anyway because it was Dre. And they go, well, if Dre's into it must be good. So we rushed the deal, and we got it done, and I did
You avoided a bidding war, though, just for the record. There was no...
Yeah, no,
okay,
it got done.
Right.
I did the deal with Paul Rosenberg, who's the manager now, but was the lawyer then. So a few weeks later, I'm in a meeting over at the Interscope offices, and we're all in a meeting, and this guy puts his head in and says, hey, I'm here, Jimmy. And he goes, why don't you go wait in the other room, and I'll see you in a second. I go, what was that? And he goes, that's Eminem. I go, oh, I just did this whole deal with him. I was dealing with him. I never met him. So our meeting ended. I said, I'll go say hi to him. I go, and he's sleeping on the couch. So I put my card on his chest, just so that he'd know that I was there, and because I'd been dealing with Paul. And apparently Jimmy says he woke up, saw your card, thought he was going to get arrested, and he ran out.
What?
Because he didn't know what a lawyer's card was doing on his chest. So.
Oh, that's funny, man.
Yeah.
You've been around a long time, and I'm sure there's been instances where you've seen ridiculously talented artists like not succeed, right?
Yeah.
How does that happen?
I mean, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe they're not that talented. I don't know.
I was going to say, like, they could be your A&R guy gets fired, right?
Yeah.
Or some political thing, or, you know what I mean? Like,
or just it's just not destined. There was a band I worked with called the Unforgiven, and I knew that they would either, I felt in my heart they would either sell 5 million records or they'd sell 0, and they sold 0. But they were good. They were really good,
yeah.
But you have to really want it, and you have to work your butt off.
You have to work your ass off for it. There's
It's
no
just
doubt.
not easy. Not that they didn't. I don't want to say that, but it's just sometimes it just doesn't happen, or your promo guy doesn't get it done, or.
And on that note, I think a nice segue would be, Chris Clancy, right?
Yeah.
So Clancy was a
Clancy's
fantastic
great.
episode. Great human being, right?
Yeah,
Good guy.
no, Clancy's great.
Yeah.
I just saw Tyler the Creator on Friday at, Clancy manages Tyler.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I went and saw him at the Crypt, or as he said, I won't call it that, at Staples. Tyler just killed. He was so good.
Yeah, he's got it, huh?
Yeah, he's really great.
I love that he's an outlier. I feel like that's the one thing you and we have that in common, Peter. I think we're fans of the Outliers. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, no, I mean that.
Yeah.
Again, another story here. So one of those meetings with Michael Eisner, he comes bounding into the office and he says,
Wait, for the record, sorry, the people might not know who Michael Eisner is that are listening.
chairman of the board of Disney before Bob Iger.
There you go.
So he comes bounding into the office, into our A&R meeting. He goes, I just saw Kenny G last night. He was fabulous. Why can't we sign somebody like Kenny G?
Yeah.
And I go, yeah, it's never going to happen. He goes, what do you mean it's never going to happen? I said, I don't get that. I mean, he's just another ugly saxophone player that, that somehow you market and you blow him up.
Yeah, exploded. Yeah.
I said, and to me, there's 99 other guys just like him, and he happened, and the other 99 didn't.
Yeah.
I said, same with Mariah Carey, who, she's obviously doing
She's
great.
a great singer, though. But there's a lot of
there's
great
a lot of
singers.
great pretty girls that are great singers.
Yeah.
I don't know why her.
Yeah.
And I said, basically, it's because somebody's willing to bet on her and put $4 million to market her and blow her up. And sometimes it works and a lot of times it doesn't. Well, and so, I just said, it's just not what I do. I find somebody that's sort of outside and, they're different, like Prince or Axl Rose or somebody like that. And they come to the middle and the audience comes to them. They sort of start way out on either end and they come a little bit towards the audience comes to them. These other people are just marketing exercises. It's just not what I do. I mean, God love Clive Davis. He's unbelievably great at it. It's just not what I do.
Clancy literally said that on the show. He said that other people are amazing at science projects.
Right.
Putting that together. He's like, I suck at that, he said.
Yeah.
I would gravitate to authentically unique artists is like my favorite thing, right?
Yeah.
Andre 3000 from Outkast, Dre, Tyler, Pharrell's unique to me. So it's and those are the ones that actually have the longevity. So back to, let me just finish
even Kanye for,
Kanye, exactly.
Yeah.
There's only one Kanye. So, I wanted to bring home this point that Clancy makes. I think it was well said. And he's like, I much prefer a slow build, because you end up keeping the fans. He's like, if you just go right overnight, he's like, a few years later, you can't sell 12 tickets, he said. If it goes too fast.
No, because you don't build your fan base. Look at Metallica. I mean, they did it all.
Yeah.
Nobody even knew they existed, and they were selling out arenas. They were selling out at stadiums.
That was a long process, Peter. Like, we didn't talk about the amount of years, by the way.
They blew up into the overground and the above ground in like 9 years after they started. Even probably longer, maybe almost 10. Wow. And I was aware of them the whole time. I was aware of how huge they were.
And they were incredible the whole time. And
they were doing great business, but nobody knew.
That's crazy. I just get blown away because, he also managed Frank Ocean, who I think you represented briefly.
Yeah,
right?
Our firm still represents Frank.
Channel Orange was like one of my favorite albums Frank did. And I'm like, how does that take... How was there any period of struggle for like an artist as brilliant as Frank Ocean?
It's just not... There's just stuff that just doesn't react immediately, or it's just too different for people to understand. And
they got to catch up to it.
Yeah.
Like you said. Can you say it the way you said it was great? You're like, the artist moves a little bit and the audience moves a little bit. Can you say it again?
They all move to the middle, and when they finally get together, it explodes.
Then it blows up.
Yeah.
Yeah, super. That's really well said. Into the Blurred Lines lawsuit. Can we touch on that a little bit?
Yeah.
How does that get on your desk, Peter? The Blurred Lines lawsuit. That was a huge deal. Obviously important precedent and effect on overall.
And a really horrible decision. Yeah.
And a horrible decision. I know I did go. But how did it land on your desk? Were you guys already working with Pharrell?
We got a claim from the lawyer, and he goes, we're gonna.
You were already representing Pharrell.
I was representing Pharrell
prior to the suit, right? Okay.
But he called up saying, this is a ripoff of "Gotta Give It Up," and I go, all right. Well, I mean, I know that song. Let me listen to it. So I went, after he got off the phone, I listened. I go, I don't hear it. And I listened to it again. I go, I still don't hear it. But you know what? Let me send it to a musicologist. So I sent it to a musicologist. Sent it to 2 musicologists. They go, no,
Nothing here.
Nothing here. The notes aren't the same. The chords aren't the same. The words aren't the same. I go, the feel's the same. I get that. But a blues record, every blues record feels like every other blues record. That's what's supposed to happen.
Yeah, completely.
So I don't really get it. And so the guy just keeps threatening to sue me. So we sued him because we didn't want to end up in his home court. So we sued him in L.A.
Yeah. I remember we had a meeting somewhere around that time because it was interesting to pull the trigger when you're the defendant.
Yeah, they made a big deal about it. Like they sued us. That shows you what they're about. We sued you. You would have sued us. We're gonna back off the. Seriously, was he gonna back off the claim?
I know.
Right? When I sued him, then he should have just said, "Oh, we didn't really mean it." No, it didn't matter who sued who. There was gonna be a lawsuit.
It was gonna happen
unless the guy was willing to back off, and that was not gonna happen. So there it is.
Was there a period of like mediation where you thought you could mediate this thing with the other side before actual litigation?
There was, we had some mediations, and then we had the day before trial. We went over and met with them at famous studio. Was it Marvin's studio? I don't remember. Anyway,
but you and the other side lawyer.
Yeah, and Jan Gay and Pharrell and I don't know if Robin was there or not. And we tried to settle it, and we offered him. And again, remember, I thought the lawsuit really sucked.
Yeah, you thought it kind of had no chance. I
didn't say it had no chance. I would never say that.
Right.
You want to settle. As a lawyer, you always want to settle because you never know what could happen.
Because you're rolling the dice on people that might not know music.
Well, not only do they not know music, the judges don't read music. They don't understand music. They get script cases right. Like when somebody sues about a script, they can read. So they go, well, this thing is this is the same as this thing.
Yeah.
They can't
the
read
guy
music.
kidnaps the girl and then,
it's like we've seen it before. Music they don't get. I mean, the fact of the matter is Pharrell did an unbelievable job of knocking off the feel, but the songs weren't the same. I can make any song sound like some,
You're making a point here that music is so subjective though. How it hits one person, isn't it?
No, it's not subjective.
Oh, you're not? Okay.
I mean, it's, you can look, if the chords are the same, the lyrics are the same, the melody is the same, it's an infringement. But that's not what's happening here. I can make a bluegrass version of Gin and Juice, which I've heard.
Yeah.
And it sounds like a bluegrass song because you put in banjos and picking, and all of a sudden you've got a bluegrass song. But it doesn't change the fact that the song is what the song is.
No, but to reference the point you made about you show somebody a script, it is what it is. It's black and white, right? You said they're better at handling.
Well, they can read scripts. They can't read music.
Right. So there's more nuance in it that they're gonna miss.
Well, it's just more ignorance. I met a Supreme Court justice, and I told her that I said, you guys should leave the music cases alone. You get them wrong all the time.
That's great.
She really was looking for an exit at that point.
So the other place I feel like we breezed over important, you ran Hollywood Records for a period of time, right?
I did, yeah.
And you were like, I'm doing something wrong here because I'm over 40 and I'm signing better acts than my A&R staff.
Well, I mean, the stuff that I signed is the only stuff that worked was stuff that I signed.
Right.
Again, my view of it was, like, I got to hire an A&R person. I'll let them give them the rope. But, I said to them, look, if I hear it and I think it sucks and you still want to put it out, I'll put it out. But if it doesn't work, that was their job. I mean, I'm not telling them what to sign. Look, I mean, there are bands that I hate. Pink Floyd. I wish they'd signed to my label. Pink Floyd? I hate Pink Floyd.
Wow.
But, it would have been nice if somebody labeled signed them.
There's a guy, an A&R man in the 90s. Remember when grunge was king?
Yeah.
So Soundgarden, Pearl Jam. Apparently there was a guy, my mentor is a guy named Tony Ferguson. I don't know if you know him. He was at Interscope. Tony's awesome. Yeah. So I was working with Tony for a lot of years, and he said that there was a guy who was the king of grunge, A&R guy named Brian Huttenhauer.
Oh, yeah.
You know him?
Yeah.
And apparently, Tony's like, I don't know what the hell happened to this guy, but he was killing it, and then he just disappeared.
A&R's a tough gig. I mean, look, I signed Queen. Everybody hated the signing. Everybody thought it was stupid,
Wait, post Bohemian Rhapsody, though, right? You signed them?
What do you mean post Bohemian? There was 2 Bohemian Rhapsody periods. There was the first time around.
Wayne's World.
That was me.
Yeah, that was you. Okay.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about that. I think that people might find that interesting. So, like, was Queen languishing for a period of time?
Queen was as dead as anything could be in North America. They couldn't have been more dead.
You couldn't get them arrested here.
Oh, no. What had happened was they had been on Elektra, and I was Elektra's lawyer, as I pointed out before, and they called me up, and I remember I was in Hawaii doing this on a payphone over Christmas, getting Queen off the label because Krasnow, didn't want him anymore because it was an expensive deal, and if he could get rid of him, he could save some money. So he got rid of him, and this is in the mid '80s, and then for the rest of the '80s, they really did not have a great time in North America. By the way, the rest of the world, huge, gigantic, as big as anybody could be. But in North America, and especially the U.S., they were kind of nothing happening. I mean, North America, U.S. and Canada.
Yeah.
But I loved them, so I got my job at Hollywood Records, and I sent a fax to Jim Beach, the manager, and I said, "Hey Beach, is Queen available in the U.S.?" And he writes back, he goes, "Yes." And I go, because Beach is the guy I'd done the exit deal with, so I knew Beach really well. I said, "I'd like to sign him." He said, "Would you like to buy the catalog also?" And I go, "Of course." So we negotiated a deal. We signed him, and if you want to go look back at some really bad press, look at the press that I got for signing Queen. He's a moron. How could he sign this horrible, washed-up band? This is the problem with Disney. They put this guy in charge. He doesn't know what he's doing, which might have been true, but I did know what I was doing with Queen. So I signed Queen, and I did my numbers, and we were going to get our money back. I mean, it was $10 million. We were going to get our money back. It was going to take 7 or 8 years, but we were going to get our money back.
Yep.
Then Freddie died, which was super sad.
Yeah.
And so I go, well, now it looks like 3 years.
Because dead people sell more records.
Yeah,
right?
When they die. So what happens is I get the script for Wayne's World, and they've written that scene into it. And I read the script, and the script sucks. And so they call up and say, "Can we have Queen for the movie?" And I go, "Yeah, sure." There's a lot of stories around this. This is really what happened. But I said, "Yeah, sure." And they go, "We want to put it on the soundtrack album." I go, "No." So I just paid $10 million for this catalog. I'm not giving you a song that I just paid for and put it on your soundtrack album. So you want to use it in the movie, you can use it in the movie. They said, "Well, if we can't get the soundtrack album rights, we're going to take it out of the movie." And I go, "Okay." And why did I say okay? The script sucked. It was written into the script, and so I knew they weren't going to take it out anyway. I worked in the studios long enough to know that when the director's got something,
it was
written,
like Chicken, basically, and you knew that they were gonna move.
Yeah, so I just said, and I didn't care because I thought the script sucked, so it didn't really matter to me.
Yeah.
So they go back and forth, and they go, "Well, we really like to use it." I go, "I told you can use it. You just can't put it on the soundtrack album."
Yeah.
So Mo Austin calls me up. He's got the soundtrack album, and he goes, "I really need to have this on my soundtrack. It's just an embarrassment to me if I can't have this with Lorne Michaels and my relationship." And I go, "Mo, you've always been a gentleman. You've always been the best guy in the business." And I go, "If it's really that important to you, I'll do it." So he goes, "Thanks." And so we give him the rights, and this is like in November or something. In January, I go to a screening of Wayne's World, and the movie's brilliant. So I go home that night, and I call up my head of video, and I go, "Stu, we got to make a video for this Wayne's World movie." He goes, "Right away." He goes, "I'm on vacation." I go, "No, it got to be right away." "Why? I thought you said it sucked." I go, "No, I said the script sucked. The movie's amazing." So he called up Penelope Spheris, who was the director of the movie, got her to shoot the video, and that's what happened. And we got our investment back in a week.
You're $10 million.
Like within 3 or 4 weeks, it was already earned back.
Unbelievable.
It just blew up so huge.
That scene's iconic, right? Of course. But that was also a little bit of lightning in a bottle with how quickly you made your money back.
Well, let me tell you what I told everybody. I go, okay, when I signed him, everybody was giving me a bunch of crap for signing it. I go, look, there's 3 songs in this catalog everybody knows. Another One Bites the Dust, We Will Rock You, We're the Champions. Something will happen with one of those songs. I was completely wrong. It was Bohemian Rhapsody. But it's the same concept. With a group that great and a catalog that incredibly wonderful, it just...
I'm surprised they were counted out, Peter, to be honest.
That was the attitude, like basically they were washed up. Freddie had made that movie, I Want to Break Free, that video where he's vacuuming in a dress, and so he's a gay guy, and then they do Radio Gaga, and the American radio's going, "You're not going to tell us Radio Gaga, screw you guys."
Too controversial at the time.
Old, white guys that were controlling rock radio at the time just decided we don't want this aging queen messing up our airwaves, It's, talking about Radio Gaga. And I'm sitting there going, this guy is great and you guys suck. And that was that.
That's a great story, Peter. That's a great story. So is it true that MTV, which was king at the time, would not play Guns N' Roses, and David Geffen had to make a deal and say, all right, we'll just play the video at like 4 a.m. on like a Tuesday?
I think he did that with radio, but I heard something like that.
Because they were a phenomenal band. I mean, have you seen them live, I assume, right?
I was their lawyer.
You were their lawyer?
Yeah.
That's crazy. Okay. So, do you have a fun Axl Rose story for us?
I do. Well, that's actually actually it's a Slash story. So, I tried to pretend there was a bidding war for Guns N' Roses, but there really wasn't. Tom Zutaut just was really, really into the band, and I tried to get other interests, and there was some, but
because hair metal was ruling at the time, right? And this was a little bit
it was different.
Left of center.
It was different. Yeah. So we were going to make the deal with Geffen, and David was my friend, and I was maybe happy we were going to do the deal with him anyway. So he wants to meet the band. So we go over to Geffen Records on Sunset, and the band's sitting there. David walks in, and he goes, "Whose car is parked in my spot?" Everybody's going, "Nothing. I know one of you's cars in my parking." Finally, Slash goes like this: "Go move your car." He's never met him before. So he sends him out, he moves the car, comes back, we're doing a meeting up in Geffen's office, and Geffen looks at Slash and he goes, "I know you." He goes, No, you don't." He goes, "Yeah, I do. What's your name?" Slash. He goes, "No, that's not your name. What's your name?" He goes, "Saul." "Saul what?" "Saul Hudson." "Your mother, Ola Hudson, she used to work for me, didn't she?" He goes, "Yeah."
Holy shit. What'd she do?
She was in the marketing department.
Oh,
I don't know exactly what she
that's
did.
Unbelievable.
Yeah. And David recognized him. I don't know how. I have no idea.
Incredible. Axl was a wild guy, right?
Yeah, it was crazy.
Yeah,
I mean, crazy good.
Carrying on with this, Peter, then you were around for Nirvana too, then, right? You must have been.
No. Well, yes and no.
Okay, what happened?
So I, was working with Soundgarden.
You were Soundgarden's attorney?
Yeah, I was Soundgarden's lawyer.
This is fucking nuts. This interview, we need two parts here. Okay, we'll put a pin in that, but finish the Nirvana thing.
So I get a call from there's some book. I don't know what book it is, but I get a call from Susan Silver, who was managing Soundgarden.
Okay.
And she goes, "I got this other band I want you to meet with." And I go, "Well, I'm leaving to take a job at Disney. I'm going to run the record company." So the story in this book is that I was too important to meet with Nirvana, when in fact, of course, that was not the case. I was just done. And I made a sort of half-feeble effort to sign them when I was at Hollywood.
Newly at Hollywood,
yeah,
right?
Yeah. I just didn't offer anywhere near enough money, but...
Was that a bidding war band then, Nirvana?
Yeah, it turned into a bidding war. When I first got to Hollywood, since I knew about them, because I'd worked with Sub Pop, I was Sub Pop's lawyer too. But, a lot of the other labels were just trying to sign Nirvana away from Sub Pop, and I felt like if I was going to do a deal, I should do a deal with Sub Pop.
How did that fall flat again? The money wasn't there?
I just don't think I was, I was new and I wasn't ready to throw money around.
Okay, so back to Soundgarden. Where was how did you first get introduced to Soundgarden? Were you blown away? And was there any interesting stories there? Rest in peace, Chris. Great guy.
Chris is a really, really good guy. No, I just heard about it from an A&R guy, Bob Pfeiffer actually, that there was this band I should check out, and they were playing San Francisco. So I flew up to San Francisco and met with them.
Wow. And
Susan Silver, and it just ended up representing them. And
I mean, you saw them, you were blown away by the show, and you're like, I want to work with you?
Yeah. Chris is like an incredible singer. He's incredibly good looking. And
yeah. One of the most iconic rock voices.
Yeah, no, incredible.
Yeah.
And just a great guy.
What label did they end up on where you did the...
A&M.
They ended up on A&M.
Yeah, but they had some early records out before then. Screaming Life, I think, was one of them. They took forever, too, to build.
You were there before they blew up.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I wasn't clear on that. Wow.
I did the A&M deal. That was their first major label deal.
It took a minute to get the album together, and then...
Bad Motorfinger was their third album.
Wow.
Yeah.
Holy shit, Peter. Wow.
Yeah.
Unbelievable, even with a talent like that. Now, we'll start bringing it home here. The Beats by Dre, there's a lot of, what do they call it, where the telephone story happens, and then like the story like devolves as it goes through the telephone more. Yeah. But we've got, the man here that's, you were pretty close to it, right? So rumor was there was some type of jogging in Malibu or something.
Walking.
Right? It was walking in Malibu?
Walking.
Can you give us the story since you know it really well?
Well, I mean, what happened was, I would go to Dre and I have a list of things, like every month or two I would get together and go over the list of people that had called and things that, people had wanted.
Business deals, opportunities, right.
People would call, they wanted to know if, Dre would produce somebody or something like that. So I had my list, and I was going down the list, and we went out to the beach, and Jimmy was staying out at the beach, and Dre has a beach house.
Mm-hmm.
And
this is somewhere in Malibu.
In Malibu, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So we're walking down the beach, and I'm going over my list, and this shoe company, it was, I don't think it was Nike.
Reebok, Adidas,
was one of them,
Converse,
Converse, somebody wanted to talk about a shoe deal. And Jimmy said, Dre, you shouldn't be doing sneakers, you should be doing speakers. And so that's how the whole thing came together.
Wow. And he was really close to taking this sneaker deal, right?
No, that's the part that's wrong.
Okay.
It was a list of things I was going over with him. I wasn't pushing him to do a sneaker deal. I was just going, Dre turns most everything down,
Right.
So, but I want to let him know because I don't want to make the decision for him. If I don't tell him, he can't make a decision.
Yeah, completely.
So I was going down my list, and that was on the list, and Jimmy goes, Dre, you shouldn't be doing sneakers. You should be doing speakers.
And on that note, Peter, you've gotten to spend a ton of time around David Geffen, who was an outlier, and then you spent a ton of time around Jimmy, obviously, right?
Yeah.
Now, remember I had you kind of earlier in the interview, I had you condense, if you had to condense kind of the uniqueness of David Geffen, you kind of did that. If you had to do that with Jimmy, what makes him so unique or so great at what he does?
He has a different view of the world. He's really intuitive and kind of very charming and knows how to push all the right buttons. He reacts to what other people hear, so he'll play stuff. You go to his office and he'll play you what he did back in the day.
Yeah.
And sort of try to figure out, he'd sort of see how people reacted. And I think he just took sort of an amalgamation of all that and he'd sort of process it and come up with, okay, this is going to work and I'm going to push this.
So not such a giant ego, let's say, where it's like, this is it. He would almost kind of survey a little bit, right?
Yeah, no question.
Yeah, that's interesting.
He'd worked with John Lennon. He'd worked with Tom Petty. He's worked with these guys. He defer to people like that. Jimmy's never, he's got an opinion. He's not going to sit there and tell you it's good if he thinks it sucks. But, he's also going to listen.
You've been around a lot of successful people. What's the combo here between luck and hard work? What's that combo now that you've been around so much success?
Not
what
a lot
would you
of
say?
luck. It's a lot more hard work. There's always opportunities, but there are people that seize the opportunities and people that fumble them. And guys like Jimmy and David and Irving and stuff, they don't fumble.
That was really well said. But if you just had to say it in one line, the hard work is what's consistent across the board and all the people that are really successful,
work
right?
Their butts off. But Dr. Dre works his ass off. He's in the studio all the time. All these guys are.
And even after the crazy success, the work ethic remains in what you see with these people.
No question.
Yeah. Oh, I have a friend that's managing a huge songwriter right now, and he said we both have an appetite for the work, and I just thought that was a nice way to say it.
Yeah.
Shout out Andy Steinway. Do you know my friend Andy Steinway? He's a manager.
I do know him. I've dealt with him. I don't remember when.
So not long ago, there was the whole Wu-Tang Clan doing one album. They weren't gonna make any copies for $3 million. Remember that?
Yeah.
I'm I want to know what Peter has to say about this. I think that'd be kind of interesting.
I don't know. I can't believe that they pulled it off. I don't.
Wow.
And it turns out the guy that bought it was that
Martin Shkreli, which is a pretty hated guy in
I think
mainstream.
basically didn't he get convicted of something?
I think he's serving a sentence, maybe. Yeah. But the concept, how does the concept of one album, nobody else can hear it? I wasn't crazy about it because I'm this is Wu-Tang Clan. Why not let more people hear it?
It's just a physical NFT is the way I look at it.
Yeah, well said. Did you ever meet, random, but did you ever meet Hugh Hefner by chance? Because you've been
I did, actually.
Any thoughts on Hugh?
I met him because Metallica played a party at the Playboy Mansion for the South Park movie.
Get the fuck out of here.
Trey and Matt had Metallica play a show at the Playboy Mansion. So I met him there, and then I sat next to me at a ball game once with 7 women.
we're coming off of the pandemic. What's the count right now, Peter? About 2 years, maybe.
Yeah.
Coming through it. People have learned things about themselves, learned things about the world. What's kind of new for you as a result of like going through that whole experience? Did you learn anything new about yourself? Do you see the world in a new way? Anything like that?
Part of what I learned is I like staying at home.
That's great. I think when I asked you that, you're like, damn it, I gotta go to all these functions again.
That's exactly right. Yeah. Lunches, meetings.
You know, the other side of the coin though, Peter, is I think that virtual communication has become the
I don't
norm,
like that either.
right?
I don't like that either.
You don't like virtual communication?
No, I don't. But I like not having to go to meetings and lunches, and I missed the Grammys for the first time. It was actually kind of good.
On that note, the Super Bowl just happened with Dre, right?
Yeah.
Now you went to that.
I definitely went to that.
Oh, how was that seeing Dre? I mean, that's a pretty monumental moment, right?
It was a triumph. The guy just completely hit it out of the park. He's a genius.
Was he like backstage kind of just beaming?
Yeah.
Yeah, right?
Yeah, no, he knew he killed it. He put the whole thing together. He did an unbelievable job.
It was his idea to have 50 hanging upside down even?
I don't know the exact details, but it was his idea to have 50. So,
wow.
yeah.
Yeah.
It was my idea to have him be the Super Bowl.
Wait, it was your idea to have Dre play the Super Bowl?
Yeah.
What? That wasn't brought up yet? What the fuck? How did that come about then?
Me and my partner Howard King, I spoke about earlier, were down at SoFi Stadium 2 years ago when they were building it, and they were trying to sell Dre a suite.
Interesting. Okay.
And so I said, Dre, the Super Bowl's here in 2 years. You should do the halftime show. It's L.A. It's about you. He goes, get the fuck out. He goes, can you make that happen? I go, I don't know. I'll try. And so basically, props to Steve Berman because he had a similar idea. Berman and I worked on it and eventually got to Jay-Z, and Jay-Z said, it's got to be Dre.
Wow.
And that's how it happened.
Jay-Z had to sign off on that somewhere?
Well, Jay-Z's a consultant with the NFL for the halftime show.
Got it. Okay. I wasn't even aware of that.
Yeah, so him and Desiree Perez were sort of the two key people.
So you guys kind of conceived this and went to Jay-Z and Desiree, and then it was a done deal.
Yeah.
Oh, Peter, I mean, there's so many stories here from Dre to Soundgarden to, all these Metallica. I think you've done phenomenal work in your career, and it's an honor to have gotten to sit down with you and talk about all this.
Thanks.
Thank you. Any advice, last thing, for the artist that is working their ass off right now, who's talented, It's
really a do-it-yourself world. It's not like when I was coming up where you take a tape, shop it to an A&R guy. The A&R guys have to come to you.
Good, which is a good thing in a way, right? Now the power is with more the creatives.
Yeah, but it's a lot harder.
Because there's so much noise.
Yeah. You got to do a lot of the work yourself, There's no golden ticket. You got to work yourself.
Yeah, the briefcase with the money and the limousine days are over.
Over.
Well, if knowing that things like Soundgarden, you said, took forever, Metallica took, you said, there's something about knowing that that's kind of comforting in a way. You know what I mean? Because you could be great at something, but just remember, even the greats took a while, and that was back then.
Yeah. Yeah, so, if it doesn't take a while, it usually doesn't stick.
That's right.
Not always, but usually.
And different is good because it means you're going to have a sustainable thing, hopefully.
Yeah, you're going to have real fans.
Real fans.
That really like you.
There it is. We hope you guys got a lot out of this episode. Thank you so much for tuning in. Peter, thank you again.
Thanks, Sam.
All right. We'll see you soon. We'll see you next episode, guys.